greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. It's been very difficult. I'm going to tell you, it's been very, very difficult. A lot of hacking, a lot of government attacks on dissenters. And I'm wowed. I'm ashamed of my government. Well, you all know that. Ashamed. Because of the pathetic attacks. When they say the meek shall inherit the earth, I didn't think it would be a bunch of child porn trafficking paraplegics behind, a series of cubicles inside of a government building. Yes, so anyways, I'm not going to start ranting right now. Without further ado, before I go into this incredible rant, I have my guest, Eric Wilkinson, aka Spitfire. Are you there, Eric?
Spitfire in the house.
It's Mr. Spitfire in the house. Yes, Spitfire. Are you? Well, of course you're old enough. I think you're older than me. Those old commercials, little toys. Spitfire. All right. I may be dating myself here, for anyone who's watching, but well, and Spitfire is from the Truth Sentinel. Sentinels of Truth. Go ahead. You know what? You know your business. Go ahead and introduce it, man. Tell the world about yourself.
We've been around for about 3 years. We've grown about 4,000 people in our group on Facebook. We also have Sentinels of Truth YouTube channel. We also have Spitfire Sentinel YouTube channel. That would probably be the largest one, over 4,000 subs. Not too many, but not too little. We're hoping to grow before they take it away. There was also the Eric Spitfire channel, which was taken down. Bang, just gone, because I had an opinion. Anyway, was that too long of an introduction? Just the twisted little tunnels, rabbit holes we go down as we weave our way through the live broadcasts. It's insane, isn't it, brother?
I'm going to tell you right now, there is somebody that does not want us to get together and to do things, because we have been trying to set up things for the new show, and just I think someone's trying to make an example of what they're going to do to us on our new show just by sabotaging this one.
It only took us about 2.5 hours to even get to this point.
That's just today. It's taken us 2 days to do this. 2 or 3 days, right?
Because of what we talk about. It's the subjects we talk about. A lot of supposed alternative media stations, they won't touch some of the subjects we do, especially targeted individuals.
Well, they already know I'm going to call the hackers, these intelligence, the watchers, whatever you want to call them.
The watchers on the wall, it should be the sentinels. There's over 100. I mean, over 100. There's hundreds of patents for direct energy weapons, and you don't think that they would point them at citizens of the world?
Well, I was gonna say they already know I'm gonna call them, baby suckers, whatever.
Baby sucker.
There's a word in between baby and sucker, but I prefer not to say it. The last episode I did with Will Torbett, I mean, it got mangled. It got torn up when we started talking about, government pedophilia, the child trafficking and stuff like that. So, it's a subject I feel passionate about. No one should be trafficking and touching, doing anything to our children, victimizing our children in any way, shape, or form. I feel very passionate about that. But anyways, the new show that I was speaking about, Spitfire and I are going to have a new show, and we're calling it Infotainment Tonight. So I hope you guys will want to tune in to that. I know you guys are like scratching your heads right now. Wait, didn't he just start a TV show with Judge Julie Cameron? Isn't he connected with Kristen D. Manners? And it's like, yeah. I got nothing better to do than to be under these hot studio lights. And I do apologize if I just start sweating profusely, because Poland is under an incredible and unnatural heat wave right now. Or, as Eric brought up, direct energy weapons patents, they could just be cooking me here in the studio.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist. You're a liar.
And I'm going to tell you guys, there are going to be some behind-the-scenes outtakes of this episode that will be released to you eventually. So, Eric, what else is on the agenda?
Those outtakes, do I get to sign off for those, or we'll talk about that later?
You know what? Let's just have a pitch, a show pitch. A show pitch on a show. How about that? What's this infotainment tonight? What are we going to be doing?
What we're basically going to be doing, I believe, is to take clips and analyze them together realistically, looking for truth in them.
Well, people love my commentary on clips.
He's made millions. He comes on once a day, only on YouTube, only in America. Can we go on once a day for 5 minutes and make a video, get a freaking million hits on it, and make a living off it? But that's God bless you, Mark, guys, for being able to do that. We live in a country where we can. Is Poland a democracy? Tyranny, like everybody else in the world. But what is your quote unquote structure as far as your government over there?
Well, I'm constantly having to hear about how the government's having secret meetings, how protesters are being zoned away from any government buildings to do their protesting, and a lot of these secret government meetings are happening at nighttime, and it's like, what is going on here?
Curious. I mean, Poland. A lot of people they're unaware of exactly what the polls are all about. Was there a reason? You obviously did not live in Poland.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a pun. What? They don't know the polls? Poland? Okay. Yeah.
What type of government structure do they have over there? Is it similar to the U.S.? Is it similar to China?
It's like half, like, they have a president here, but they also have, like, ministers, prime ministers, so it's
probably similar to what they have, like, in the Bahamas.
I guess so. All I know is it's hot.
The Queen rules
here right now.
Somewhere along the line, the British came in, and the Queen still rules over there.
Well, from these genealogy studies, we all know they're all, in bed with each other in more ways than one. So
that is so interesting you said that, because I just heard something today that if you go back and you look at the genomes of people, generally, and I believe this too, it goes back to Africa, is where it goes. But if you go a little deeper, Africa has 8 genomes. Australia has 16 genomes. So if you want to get technical, you got to go all the way back to Australia.
Well, everything goes back to Africa. The first seafaring people on the planet, and I know this disturbs a lot of Caucasian people to understand that just because you got on a little wooden boat and you went to a new landmass, that somehow you think you discovered it, but you didn't. There were already people there.
And Christopher Columbus, not the first.
There are already people there. You didn't discover Jack. Even Eric the Red, when he went up to, was it Iceland, Greenland? Whatever. There were already Eskimos there that greeted them. So,
No, there weren't. Quit lying, conspiracy theorist.
No, this is real history. Okay? Real history.
Real history.
The first seafaring people on the planet were Africans. That's why you have Aborigines. That's why you have the Olmecs. And South America, Central America. Big stone heads with noses bigger and wider than mine. Okay?
Some that we just discovered have bodies underneath the surface of the earth. We just thought they were heads, but there's actual bodies underneath there.
Full bodies, yeah. These are Easter Island heads, Easter Head Islands. Okay, but no, you're absolutely right. And so these things happen, and the history's there. Things happen a long time. Things have been happening for millennia.
Are we going to go deep? We're going to go deep, aren't we? We're going to all of a sudden just going to go freaking as deep as it gets. Because that's, again, a Caucasian man over here telling you the truth. If you look at your Bibles, everybody wants to talk about the Bible. I believe in certain parts of the Bible, the ones that actually made it into canonization. But back to the point. Okay, if you look at Jesus, what was his hair made of? What color was his skin? It sure as hell wasn't white. Sure. By the way, which guy's name? John Paul, George, or Ringo existed back in those days. But back to you, sir.
Jesus? There's no white Jesus. I'm gonna play this video clip for you guys right here.
Just because it makes you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean it has to change. Jesus was a white man too, but it's like he was a historical figure. That's a verifiable fact, as is Santa. I just want the kids watching to know that.
Sorry about that. Poor people, everybody's kind of laughing here. I want to bring in now Jamil Bowie. He is a staff writer at the Daily Beast, and then the co-editor of CNN's Belief blog, Eric Maripodi. I'm laughing. Listen, I put this online, guys, and I said, what color is Jesus, what color is Santa Claus? And everyone's like going crazy. What color are you? What's wrong with you? I can't believe I'm discussing this either, but that is the most responses I think I've gotten in a year on social media is when I put that question up. And when I posted something last week about someone who looked like Jesus selling Christmas trees, the internet went crazy. I understand that. But there are many who question the authenticity, shall we say, of Santa Claus and Jesus. Where she lost me was a Jesus thing. What do theologians say about the color of Jesus' skin?
Well, when we look at Jesus as a historical figure, you're talking about somebody from the 1st century who lived in the Middle East. So in all likelihood, he would have had an olive complexion. We don't really know.
I would agree that when you're talking about the historical Jesus, and Kelly during her segment, she took a moment to say that we have historical evidence of what Jesus looked like, yeah, he was an olive-skinned man because he was from first century Palestine. He likely had close-cropped dark hair and dark eyes and looked like his peers and contemporaries. And so on that, Kelly is definitely just incorrect. She's misinformed.
Anyone who has studied the Bible and anyone who knows about the heritage or the roots of Jesus knows that he was a dark-skinned person and probably wasn't a white man. It's not probably was. He wasn't a white man. He was a darker persuasion.
Yeah, he certainly didn't come from
Jewish, right?
He didn't come from Europe. He didn't come from North America. That's just not where he came from. So Jesus isn't white, and saying that is just wrong.
Okay,
with all due respect to Miss Kelly.
Yeah, so the Bible
Which
describes
was the white guy who had hair still?
well, the Bible describes Jesus as having dark skin and hair like wool. So I mean, take it how you want it. But I kind of wonder. I used to wonder as a child, who is this long, blonde-haired man with blue eyes on these pictures everywhere?
Right.
Dad would tell me, "Oh, that's white Jesus."
Right. Coming from a boxing background, a lot of my friends were dark skinned, and I go in there and look at their house. I'm like, why do you have a freaking picture of a white Jesus up? Do you believe white Jesus is white? And they don't. They know the truth. And they're like, our cousin got that for our wedding. We put it up there. Because in general, the darker the skin, the deeper the knowledge, in my opinion.
Well,
Call me racist
right
for that. Can you call a white guy racist for giving props to the black race? I mean, is that even proper?
No, it just makes you a realist. But let me ask you something, though. I've seen reactions out of people. What if? And people, you got to ask yourself this question too. If you were praying to Jesus, oh Jesus, come down to heaven, or come down from heaven, and talk to me, help me, bless me, and you saw the blackest man you've ever seen, what would you do? I'm pretty sure most of you would probably change your religion. I don't know.
Most to become enlightened and realize that whatever you believe in is right here inside you, inside your heart, inside your soul, and it doesn't even have a color. We're kind of playing with them now, you know what I mean? Just because right now it's a huge thing going on, isn't it? The whole left versus right, the whole black versus white, the whole, I mean, it's surface level, barely even thinking intellectual level tyranny going on right now. The propaganda, it's ridiculous. We have a lot bigger issues to deal with than what freaking color your skin is. If you're still on that level, just hit stop right now and don't even come over here and listen to VRI, because you won't even understand what we're saying most of the time.
Well, yeah. And I clearly say, it's just idiots versus idiots at that point. When you've got these people who just can't accept the reality of other people. And it's really, I don't know why it's so much hate for humanity from humanity. I think racism in itself is just an excuse for self-hate. You hate yourself so much, but what can you do about it? But reflect that hate onto someone else. You gotta tick somebody off if you hurt someone that's like you. So what's the next best thing? Let's hurt someone who is not like you. And somehow that becomes okay with the people that are like you. And hey, that's a socially acceptable norm. Okay, we have to take a quick commercial break. But before that, enjoy this clip.
Common police technique used to bring charges against suspects not inclined to deal directly with cops. But often the undercover agent is a shady character facing his own charges. That makes him motivated to give police what they want, whether the suspect has done something wrong or not. Donald Andrews Jr. operates a so-called smoke shop on Mohawk Avenue in Scotia. It sells incense and other smoking paraphernalia, legal stuff, but material that might also be repurposed for other illicit activities. Scotia and Schenectady County Police became suspicious and targeted Andrew's shop, sending an undercover informant in twice in March. The second time, Andrew's attorney, Kevin Lebrand, does play-by-play that appears to show the informant planting, then photographing crack cocaine that led to Andrew's arrest.
Donald turns, he comes in, places the crack on the counter, crack which under federal sentencing guidelines would get him 4 years in jail. Under New York state law would get him 2 to 7 years in jail.
There are 7 cameras in plain view in Andrew's small store. Here's a second clear angle.
He walks in, places the crack cocaine on the counter.
Members of the Schenectady chapter of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference viewed the apparent framing of an African-American businessman and were outraged.
It was a setup, and I believe that he was racially profiled and targeted, and it would be easy for them to say that he was selling drugs because he was black.
Now, neither the Schenectady County Sheriff nor the Scotia Village Police Chief were available to be interviewed about the apparent planting of evidence. By phone, the sheriff acknowledged proper procedures were not followed, but denied his investigators purposely framed the suspect. The sheriff blamed the informant, who has taken flight. Andrews was arrested but released when he was able to get police to look at the multiple camera angles. He's taken the first step at filing a lawsuit and was not made available today by his attorney. Bill Lambton, News Channel 13.
Hello, I'm B from the Red Pill Hardcore TV show, and I'm here to deliver a message to you. I am standing up, and I think you guys should stand up too. What are we standing up for? Clean air. The New World governments have been spraying aluminum, strontium, barium, all kinds of nanoparticulates, salts, heavy metals, and we are losing our environment. We have trees with aluminum toxicity. Our wildlife is disappearing, one species at a time. We have weather warfare weaponry. If there is anything such as global warming, well, we have ionospheric heaters that's dramatically bombarding our atmosphere. All this damage can be done to the environment by these nanoparticulates being sprayed into the atmosphere. We know that it's causing respiratory issues. We know that it's causing autism. We know that it's causing Morgellons, the transhumanistic disease. What else is it doing? I think it may just be altering our minds. Watch my movie, and then you decide.
Can you hear me? There's nowhere else to turn it. I'm desperate. I need your help. I can hear you, my son. I've always been listening. Who are you? It is I, Jesus. I heard your prayer, and I've come to help you. No, I'm not Jesus. I am. But Jesus looked a bit more like... Oh. I see you can be white. Kind of, yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I was born in the Middle East 2,000 years ago. The Bible's very clear about that. It should be pretty obvious I don't have blonde hair and blue eyes. Yes, sir. Plus, have you heard my story? I was arrested by a mob of angry government officials and beaten for a crime I didn't commit. That doesn't happen to white people. And there was some confusion over who your father was. Okay, that's just racist. Sorry. You're not really what I was expecting, that's all. Would you like me to fetch white Jesus instead? Well, could you? No! There is no white Jesus. It's just me. You want my help or not? Yeah, I suppose so. After all, you're black or white. We're still Christians, right? I'm guessing now's not the time to tell you I'm Jewish.
Okay, so we're having such a good time here. I still got Spitfire with me, and I want to know more about your experiences in the media, because you've had experiences with certain people that I don't want to mention, like the Santilli character. And then you've had experiences with people that I do like Vinny Eastwood. And yes, I know people are just sick of hearing me say how much I love Vinny Eastwood, but hey, he's the reason, he's one of the inspirations for this show. And, you know, I gotta give credit where credit's due. The man is a hero to me and to many of you. But yeah, please.
Well, I mean, come on, man. Obviously, you're COINTELPRO. Vinny Eastwood is a FBI and CIA operative operating out of New Zealand.
Obviously.
New Zealand chapter of operatives going against scumbags like before I mentioned names. That experience of a lifetime in the past 3 years. Just the way it really happened, V, is that I hooked up with a guy named Jeff Hayes, and he wrote a book called Rise of the New World Order, The Calling of Man, and it was #1 best-selling biblical prophecy in the UK. And the guy's so cool that he's giving away copies of the book for free as an ebook. If you want to order the physical book, which, God, people really read still, they do. They do. People still do read. For now. He knew Pete Santilli. And Pete had him on the show a couple times, and so we hooked up. The next thing you know, I'm helping live stream for what happened in Oregon. Now, if we're going to talk about Oregon, that would be a whole other show. We're not going there tonight. But that was something else.
That's kind of why I asked.
We're talking about Uranium One. We're talking about Glidden. We're talking about armed standoff. We're talking just the amount of corruption there alone is insane.
No, we don't have to talk about the standoff in itself, but you were there.
I was doing the live streaming for him.
You doing the live streaming?
I was one of the first people to know that Lavoy Finicum was shot and killed and murdered, which there's a trial going on right now. Starting court hearings to prosecute those who murdered this man who had his hands up without a gun. It's happening right now. But I learned a lot during that time, V. I learned that there are really good guys who are really good guys, and I learned there are really bad guys who are really bad guys. But I also learned there are really good guys who are actually really bad guys. And there's really bad guys who you think are really bad guys, and they're really the good guys, if that makes sense.
Well, absolutely. I know wearing a badge doesn't make you a good person. I know that landing in a jail cell doesn't make you a bad person. So.
Oh, it's like 9 out of 10 if you're black, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, so there you go.
Chances are.
There you go.
We're going to talk about that a lot, I hope, because I see it every day. Things have evened out a lot more than they used to be, but they ain't even by any stretch of the imagination.
Now, you watched my latest episode, Police Being Called to Enforce Racism, and we talked about that. I believe that's kind of where we got the idea.
You going to show some of those clips, V?
Huh?
Are you going to show some of those clips?
Oh, I put the links in the chat.
Okay, the odd thing was I had seen 2 out of the 3. That's how easily and well V and I connected. I'd already seen him, and I just wanted to go forward and see what his commentary was. It's pretty much spot on like mine.
Well, I wish I could make $1 million being like Tosh.0, but I really want to get down to not enjoying the stupidity, but why there is stupidity. The why is so much more fun than the how.
I'm hiding from stupid people.
Well, yeah. So, this new show that we're going to do, I'm really liking the title, Infotainment Tonight. Because I kind of want to have fun. We all can see Eric as a big clown here. That's your cue to put on the clown mask. There he is.
What are you talking about, man?
And yeah, just have a little fun because we're still going to be political. We're still going to be activists, but we need to break it down to a level of where people can at least enjoy some of the information that they're getting. We're going to do it a little bit better than Steve Colbert. I'm not going to say funnier, but at least better. You know, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, we want to make people laugh. I mean, what we see the Mark Schwartz tyranny, but what is the use of tuning into a station where it's just myself and my ex-co-host Jeff Hayes, author of Rise of the New Order, used to say, it's called Steve Quaylen. You're Quaylen. It's just all gloom and doom. It's not all gloom and doom. There is a way to turn the tide against the tyranny, and that has to do with reaching a critical mass. That if you put enough awareness and you put enough energy into a certain cause, you can affect change.
Absolutely. You know,
that's what we're trying to do.
You know, hopefully, we have Denise would join us. I don't know. We both know, so that's usually a great scenario when you have two media entities joining together and pulling in a third. I don't see why not. But I really, really want to try to do something a little bit more unique and just bring some flavor. Bring some truther, independent flavor. So
I'm gonna bring some truth, unedited, real, in your face. We'll speak to you and to each other like we would if we were on camera or not.
And I really want to unite all the other media.
The media is that it's very simple. We must place principles above personalities. But when you talk about the media, we're talking about what? Personalities. That's why it gets so difficult. Principles above personalities. Now, if those personalities are bad guys, then we need to call them out. And we should be allowed to call them out without being called what's the word they use all the time? When
shills, disinformation agents.
COINTELPROs, right. It's Truth Media is still here. In fact, I was saying, hey man, we were having trouble. It only took us, I don't know, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to actually get the software to work because our computers are being. I have never, in the last 3 years I've been doing this, even during Mal here, even when tens of thousands of people are watching the live stream, I have never had so many problems with my computer and my internet since we started talking. What's up with that?
That's the Midas touch, my friend. Anyone who wants to get a hold of me, it's like you're putting yourself at risk. No, but on a serious level, it's what I'm saying is so dangerous, so upsetting, because it's the covert knowledge, the top secret stuff, and I talk about it like, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people I've talked to. I've got this information. Okay, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I know stuff, blah, blah, blah. And they are just, I mean, they're terrified. And they'll back out all the time. You know, I'm too terrified. I've got too many death threats. I've gotten too many, you know, just scared for my life. And it's like, if I ever talked about this, you know, it would destroy me. They would come get me. You know, I've openly told the NSA that you're on my bucket list.
I've openly told them to lick my balls. So we're in the same spot. But most people think that we're like this. We look like this.
Yeah,
they talk about this.
I don't.
They have no
I'm
right to
not. I'm
listen
not a
to
creature.
us speak.
I'm not a
Just like
creature
a bad
of
Orwell.
fear. Are you a creature of fear? Fear is the lower vibration, people. This is the reptilian brain. Okay, the easiest sentient, or in this case, semi-sentient creature to control is the reptile. Now, if you are of the reptilian mind, you don't have it in you to do what's right versus, your own survival instinct. Well, you just still a beast, not yet human. In my opinion. So, what do you feel about that?
Wow, you just said a mouthful there. When you talk about the reptilian brain, I mean, this is what they do. They deep breath, Eric. This is in the Cindy's plan of the NWO, and of the NBA and NWO. No, not the NBA. Although LeBron James could be Illuminati. Anyway, look up Tesla. Okay, well, right now we have a process going on where they are deleting history, and they always have done this. And the people that are running the world, they have no empathy for the consequences of their actions whatsoever, or others. And they just keep feeding us problem after problem after problem, and then bring reaction after reaction after reaction. Solution. It's scripted, and most never just sit back and calmly look for a solution, do they? It's always like, oh my God, what are we gonna do something now? Oh my God, we're all going to die. And the reptilian brain, as you spoke about, they certainly understand it, and they're manipulating it every day. They're manipulating our very primitive survival instincts, in my opinion. And our survival mechanism in our reptilian brain, it's constantly scanning for threats, for predators, for dangers, and how to survive. It's the fight or flight. And to understand the reptilian brain is to understand fundamentally much more than our human behavior and manipulation. Look up Carl Sagan. He talks all about this. But there's those of us who have awoke. And we've evolved into a higher state of consciousness, much higher. And we recognize the majority of the population are simply too far gone to even consider what we're showing them. I mean, there's entities outside, and they're operating outside the spectrum of our understanding. And understanding that humans only use, what was it? One of my favorite guys is David Icke. It's 0.00% of their brain and their senses. It blows my mind. So anyway, I ranted there for a sec. Back to you, V.
Well, I like how you said, it's that fight or flight, and it's that fear, and it's the constant scanning. Now, the paranoia, I love it when a government entity can call someone paranoid or sick, psychologist on someone, call them paranoid, borderline personality, paranoid schizophrenic. But these people are constantly scanning, searching. I mean, we know that they are watching. They are scanning. But for those of us who do know that, there's a good chance that you also know that the terrorists and these shooters, these mass shooters, they all come from government agencies. They're all government ops. How are you going to start all this trouble? False flags. 9/11 false flag. These school shootings, false flag shooters. These people were coerced, pushed into these things. And they always say the person was a loner. How is somebody going to be a loner and pissed off at the world? These people were behind the scenes, trained, harassed, or what have you. Because there's never any history of the people. Oh, this person never came to school. There's just none of that.
School
How
wasn't
are you-
open.
how are you
Yeah,
cause
whatever.
all this
Experience.
trouble? How do you cause all this trouble and be paranoid, listening to every one of our conversations, looking at all of our video feeds, reading all our emails? You're talking about the most paranoid, schizophrenic, psychopathic people on the planet, and we as a people have given them power. And they want to tell us, we need drugs, we need mind control drugs. They want to tell us, we need...
Let's look at the huge
guns are
growth
too
in the
dangerous
number
for
of
us.
youngsters being prescribed drugs right now. Let's talk about the fact that the children as young as 10 can legally be prescribed puberty blockers to change their gender. You want to talk about an attack on humanity? And let's talk about what is with this huge explosion in coverage and attention to transgenders all of a sudden. Where'd that come from? You don't think that was propaganda that was thought up by the powers that be? Because these are things that most kids wouldn't even think about questioning unless the propaganda was put out there and it's put in their face to question it. It's ridiculous. You know, the sperm count in men in the U.S. alone is 65% less than it was 30 years ago. 65%, that's something. So when you look at the Georgia Guidestones and they say limit the population to 500 million, they're getting there quick. When you're talking about 65% reduction in sperm counts in the U.S. alone, it's insane. And these you can look these up in very prestigious medical journals.
Absolutely. Well, we all know it's the GMOs, the vaccines, fluoride in the water, the frequencies.
Couldn't have anything to do with the evil people running the planet, though, huh, Pete? Nah. Anywhere you go now,
You know,
go
I
to
would
the
much
kitchen.
rather believe it's reptilians.
I mean, if you do the research and you look back in the bloodlines, there's a lot of weight pointing towards that this is a possibility, if not damn straight truth in your face, that there's a reptilian bloodline and they're the ones running the earth, because it sure as hell isn't a pure Yeshua, Jesus, whatever the name of your entity is. That they're not running the earth. They wouldn't do this. They wouldn't spray this entire world with these chemicals. I mean, we're almost at complete biospheric collapse at this point. No loving God would do that. These are reptilians. We're talking about reptilians now. Oh my goodness.
Well, it's funny how you made that leap. I think we're on the same wavelength right now, because I was just about to say, we want to talk about, reptilians and with these elitists. I'm thinking somewhere down the line, somewhere in history, one of these royals got bent over and raped by Lucifer. Was lied to, said, you're Merovingian bloodline, you're the golden holy grail, you're special, and whatever they were made to believe, because the mind controllers are under their own mind control, which is absolutely ironic and hilarious.
This giant explosion of this gender thing, that was like this transgender thing, that was their best thing to come up with now. Who would never even question what gender they are doing this right now. It's everywhere. Even the correct language we're supposed to use. And it's got to be obvious at some point that the chemicals and disruptors that are everywhere, and that's for another show too, they're seriously changing the way a person's body develops and the way their mind develops. And the masses are being subjected to a propaganda, perception, manipulation, onslaught to make them question everything they never would have questioned before.
There's so many reasons for it. So many reasons. You have people who think they're gods, okay? Or going to rise above God. You know, these Luciferians.
Ray Kurzweil is.
And you, the only way to,
and if you get in my way of becoming a god, there will be war.
To dominate someone,
there will be death.
the only way to dominate someone is to take away their masculinity. Now, I'm not going to say women aren't strong, because as a man, I have a feminine side, and women have their masculine sides, okay? I'm not being sexist when I say this, but there is that dominance of who we are, and that's being handed over through many psyopses. And the elites love the idea of seeing their work, or seeing their god's work, Lucifer, because he's an androgynous being himself, herself, him, Shim, Shim, whatever, which just means, you know, you're completely underneath someone's control. You're morphable. You have no sovereignty. You can be made into whatever. You don't know who you are, so that you can shapeshift. You have no identity. You have no spiritual identity if you are someone who is customizable, like Mr. Potato Head. No self-worth, no, you know, and I'm not speaking against homosexuality either.
Not at all. In fact, I want to make this a point. If you find somebody that you fall in love, and you're in love, and you love each other, freaking go for it. The world needs more love. But I just pulled this up. This is from the American College of Pediatricians. They reported that children are being indoctrinated to reassess their gender with reckless, profit-driven doctors prescribing sex change hormones to children as young as 12. And the report called this child abuse.
There are there's a lot of that permission being given away. I think I spoke in this last episode, so pardon me if you heard this already, but it's the giving the children more say over their bodies and the whole permission thing. They're talking about giving children the ability to reassign their gender at the age of 12 and younger. There have been some, I've read some things about children as young as 8 and 10 talking about gender reassignment. But you have these children who have to give their consent. And they're talking about having adults figure out a way to communicate with their babies to get their consent to change their diapers.
Right, and it's all because of this propaganda push to make these kids think about things they would have never even thought about thinking about 10 years ago.
But on top of it, you've got, I think my man Will Torbett said, you know, there are these things that, okay, you go that far with it, you're talking about a child giving a sexual predator, a pedophile, permission to touch the child and go on dates and all this stuff. This is probably Mambla all behind this sort of stuff. But yet, we have that going on at the same time with the government, family courts, stripping children away from their families. Are they stripping these children away from their families to be given to people with this agenda to be made into sex slaves of some kind, confused individuals, controlled individuals for whatever nefarious purpose? This is going to be a landslide if we give children the right to do anything. That, I mean, there's the Constitution. The Constitution should be for everybody. Okay? Bill of Rights, that's for everybody. But the children should not be able to assess their own genders and not elect to have a choice to stay with their families. So, I mean, I don't know.
Given the right to assess their own gender, I mean, interesting you said that. Look, you look down between your legs, what do you got? That is your gender. How you choose to express yourself and act above and beyond what you have between your legs, that's your business. But what you're born with is what you are. That's why if you go through a sex change operation, you are no longer either able to produce children. And again, it's interesting. We didn't rehearse anything we were about to say. Anything we're talking about, we're just throwing stuff out there. And it's interesting that you brought this subject up because to me, those Georgia Guidestones, which somebody will actually have the balls to sneak up, take those out. In my opinion, somebody will do that someday. But
they've already been removed.
500 million. If you're changing the way people believe what sex they are, you're not creating any children anymore. There's no procreating anymore. That's basic right there. In addition to all the endocrine and disruptors being put out there, I mean, there's actually estrogen being put out through several chemicals. You think about anywhere you go, the bathroom, your kitchen, plastics, you name it. There's endocrine disruptors and things that are making people re-question their gender. And think about every day in your life. Okay, think about the amount of times you come into contact with something that's toxic. We have a giant expansion of technology based on radiation. We live in a completely irradiated society, period. And the potential adverse effects on sperm due to just cell phones alone. I mean, how many men carry their cell phone in their pocket? The police carry a gun. Where do they carry the gun? Right by their crotch. Think about these things and look up what they're doing. They're literally staring us right in the face. Hello, it's me. I'm Mr. Radiation. I mean, let's talk about all the chemicals being put in the environment. And we're not even going to talk about what's being sprayed. It's hard for me to even think about what might be coming out. We know there's aluminum. We know there's barium. We know there's cadmium. We know there's desiccated red blood cells with mold spores. We know this, but that's the least of what we should be worrying about. They're spraying, but besides that, the amount of things being put out into society right now, just from technology, is ridiculous. And there's chemicals everywhere being put in the environment that mimic the female hormone estrogen, period.
Well,
what the hell is the female hormone estrogen being put in the environment for?
Well,
it's a war on the human body, in my opinion.
You're absolutely correct about that. It's called androgens. These are the chemicals that come off of plastics when they get hot. It's the reason why they had lots of recalls and have to change baby bottles. The linings, the chemical plastic linings to your pipes, your plumbing in your homes are lined with some sort of plastic, just like
everywhere. Plastics, packaging, canned food, drinks, electrical devices, solvents, cleaning products, detergents, pesticides, cosmetics, soaps, car exhaust, polish, paint, batteries, dental fillings, and mercury. Yeah, and that's just the start of the list.
That's just the beginning. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's our environment. We cannot control our environment because we cannot control our homes, because we cannot control our minds. We've given all that control over to, you know who, Big Brother, who is acting more like Uncle Molesting Santa. So, with that said, Eric, Spitfire, I want to thank you for coming on to the show to announce our new TV show together. And any last words for the audience?
Welcome to the Resistance. Peace! Thanks for having me on, me. Love you, man.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Eric Spitfire Wilkinson. So, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Catch you next week.